Hello there, my name is Sara and welcome to my corner of the internet, where I mostly talk about books and also rant about stuff that may or may not be related to books. Let's say book adjacent. As you may be able to gather from my outfit today, it is quite hot because summer is finally here. Like actually, it is late June now, which means that it is officially summer. We all know summer is reading season. It is also crochet season, but I guess that's not the point today. There's something about summer, right? Usually we have more time. We're on holiday. I don't really have more time. I'm gonna have a pretty busy summer, but just the sun, being out, being able to go outside, just makes you feel like reading more, I guess. Like you can read in the park, you can read at the beach, you can read by your window with plenty of light until late in the afternoon. So I thought, what better way to motivate me to read this summer and actually keep me accountable for the things I want to read than to make a little summer TBR video. So that's the plan today. Alright, I wanted to begin by talking about some books that I've read already, which I feel like, to me, I read already during summer time. Like in my brain it was already summer, and I'm pretty sure actually it was already summer. So those books are Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. This technically takes place during the wintertime, but I don't know, something about it just made me feel like spring, and I don't know, I enjoyed it. And it was a good summer read. It was chill and it was fun. The best way I could describe this is it's like a fairy tale for adults. It's like a children's book for adults. Quite enjoyed it. I think I didn't give it quite 5 stars, but it is up there, 4 stars or something. Really liked it. And the other book I read already within the summer time frame is Beach Read by Emily Henry. Now, I quite enjoyed this, and I'm kind of surprised because the other book I had read by Emily Henry was People We Meet on Vacation, and I kind of hated that. So this I quite enjoyed. I like a lot. It was great. So if you're in the mood for a little romance, this is pretty good. And I feel like this is a total kind of summer read, right? So yeah. Currently, I am reading a few different things, which I don't think are particularly very summery. I have picked up again Henry and June, and I'm reading it on ebook, so I'm holding it up because it shows the little cover. I was reading this back in, I want to say, March, and I paused it just because I wasn't really in the mood, and I've picked this back up. This is a diary, actually, by Anais Nin, and it's quite exciting. I mean, it a lot of stuff happens, so it's not boring at all. At least this extract of the diary. The other book I'm currently reading is a nonfiction, and that is Slouching Towards Bethlehem by Joan Didion. I've been meaning to read Joan Didion for so long. But I don't know, I guess I was intimidated, maybe. And this is being so fun. I'm about halfway now. I must say I read the first essay, which was on the longer side, and after that I kind of like took a pause because I wasn't feeling it a lot, even though, I mean, I loved the first essay. But this just, I don't know, felt like kind of difficult in my brain. But now I'm obsessed. Reading this feels like watching a movie, even though it's nonfiction. So yeah, thoroughly enjoying this. I'll give my proper thoughts when I finish it, I guess. Maybe, or maybe not. We'll see. Okay, so those are the books that I already read or I'm reading currently in this summer season, you know, because summer already started. I'm always a bit late on everything, but, you know, better late than never. At the beginning of the year, I want to say probably around the 1st of January, I made a list of the books I wanted to read this year, a 2024 TBR, let's say. And I thought, since we're at the middle of the year, I might as well review it and see how well I'm doing with my goals. I mean, I've read a lot of books this year. I think I already read like almost as many books as I read last year, like the whole year. But I don't know if I'm doing so good with my TBR. So let's take a look. All right. So this was my 2024 TBR. These are the books that at the beginning of the year I wanted to read for sure this year. I may have gotten a little carried away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 14 books. I mean, Spiderwick Chronicles is 5, but they're short, so only counts as 1 in my brain. I may have gotten a little carried away, but I don't think I put that many, considering I usually read about, 30 to 40 books a year. I think a TBR of 14 is quite doable. But from this list, actually, I've read, let's see, I've read The Hobbit. That was the first book I read in the year, I think. I've read Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, which I just finished, and The Spiderwick Chronicles, which I read in January, I think, as well. So I've read 3 out of 14. That's not very good, is it? So obviously, I feel like reading other books that are not in this list, but at the same time, I do want to accomplish a little bit more from my 2024 TBR. So I thought I would pick some books from this list and also some other books that were not on the list, and I'd concoct a little summer TBR with the combination of those two things. So from my 2024 TBR, I picked 4/5 books. There are 3 I want to get to for sure, and 2 that I'm not sure which one I want to read out of the 2, but they're both strong contenders. So all of the books I'm choosing in my mind kind of have a summery feeling, or I guess it's like books that I feel like reading when it's hot out, or just books that I feel like reading right now in general, that there is more sunlight. I don't know. So the first book that I want to read this summer, coming from my 2024 TBR, is Emma by Jane Austen. To me, I don't know, this just feels summery, I guess, a little romance, a little classic. It's good to read classics every once in a while. Last summer I read Pride and Prejudice, and it was my first Jane Austen, and I must say it was hard. It was hard. But I did it, and I loved it, and I'm very proud that I managed to read that thing in English. I read it on the ebook, which helped a lot because I could, search the words I didn't understand on the dictionary immediately without having to, disrupt my reading experience, pulling out my phone or a dictionary or whatever. But Emma I have physically, so I'm gonna try to read it here. If it gets too hard, I might switch to the ebook. Unlike Pride and Prejudice, I have watched the movie adaptation of Emma, the most recent one with Anya Taylor-Joy. So I kind of do understand the story already, which did not happen with Pride and Prejudice. I had never seen any of the movies or anything. So I feel like I'm gonna be okay with the physical book. And I'm excited. This is my first TBR item. Also, from the 2024 list, I'm taking Insolación by Emilia Pardo Bazán, which is a Spanish author. From what I've read about this book, this is the story of a woman, I think, and sort of like her sexual awakening or something. And apparently when it was first published in the early 20th century, it was regarded as quite, how can I say, disruptive. So yeah, I'm excited to read this, mostly because I feel like I haven't read enough Spanish classics, at least not recently. So this is pretty high in my TBR, next to Emma. The other book from my 2024 TBR that I want to read this summer for sure is Mrs. Dalloway. I have a translated edition. That's okay. I've actually started reading this book several times, and I don't know why, I just never finish it. So maybe this summer is the time. I am in a mood to read this. It's been a while since I last read Virginia Woolf, and I love her. She's one of my favorite authors. So I'm looking forward to this. Okay, that's already 3 books. Now, the next 2 books, I don't know if I'll read both. I think I want to choose one of them. But they're also both coming from my 2024 TBR. And they are Lolita and The Virgin Suicides. You can probably guess why these are both here. I don't know. In my mind, these are like similar vibes. I am leaning more towards The Virgin Suicides. But there's a colleague of mine who is obsessed with Lolita and insists that I must read this ASAP. So I might do that. But I am not sure yet. If you have an opinion, let me know. Which one of these 2 should I read first? Lolita or The Virgin Suicides? Alright, so those are my picks from my yearly TBR. But there's other books which were not on this list that I'm pretty excited to read. The first one of those is Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton. This very abused copy is my mom's. This is actually a first edition in Spanish. I got this for her as a gift when it first came out translated, like in 2019, I think. And since then it has become very, very popular. And I always wanted to read it, but now I want to read more so. And it's non-fiction. I don't know. I'm like in a mood to read memoirs and stuff. So yeah, Everything I Know About Love, very high on my TBR. Probably alongside Emma and Insolación. The other book I really want to read is the second book in a series I began this year, and I really want to finish this series this year, so I feel like I'm reading this one for sure in the summer. And that is A Conjuring of Shadows by V. Schwab from the Shades of Magic trilogy. And I read the first one in February, and I'm looking forward to continuing. This is like an adult fantasy where there is multiple worlds. And some people can travel between the worlds and stuff happens. There is some power imbalance. Well, so there's some like magic imbalance between the different worlds. I don't know, I just find it very interesting. And I quite enjoyed the first one. So it's about time I get on with this. Another book I'm really looking forward to reading this summer is The Dangers of Smoking in Bed by Mariana Enriquez. I haven't read anything by Mariana Enriquez yet. I bought her novel Our Share of Night last year, and I fully meant to read it immediately, but I don't know, I got intimidated by the size of it, so I picked this up at the bookstore a couple weeks ago since it's a short story collection, and I don't know, I feel like it might be better to get me into her without having to read Our Share of Night, which I will get to. It's just intimidating. I don't know. And this is like horror, I think. I'm really looking forward to it. I've only heard great things about this author, and I feel like I'm really gonna love her because I'm obsessed with Shirley Jackson and that kind of horror. So, and it's Spanish. Again, I need to read a bit more Spanish stuff because I feel like I've abandoned it. The next two books I have here on these piles are poetry. I have Ariel by Sylvia Plath. I've been meaning to read this for so long, and I feel like this summer might just be the time. This is a bilingual illustrated edition, like it has the translation in Spanish, and at the back there is the original text in English. I will probably just read it in the original text. It's quite pretty, it's illustrated, and yeah, I usually feel like reading poetry in the summer. So this is in my list. And one other poetry book that I want to read that I picked up, I think 2 days ago. Lo que pasa es que te quiero by Gloria Fuertes. Gloria Fuertes is a very beloved Spanish author. She's very well known for her children's books, and that is how I knew her. I used to read her stories as a kid a lot, and I had no clue that she also wrote like for adults, but apparently she did a lot. And this is a collection of love poetry, which I'm just very excited to read. This is a beautiful edition. It's cloth bound, and it already has cat hair all over it. And lastly, I would love to get to this book this summer, but I don't know if I'm being too ambitious. But the last book I'd like to read this summer is The Cruel Prince. I have a weird thing with this book where there was just a lot of synchronicities that happened with Holly Black and this book and the Spiderwick Chronicles, which is why I read the Spiderwick Chronicles early in the year. I don't know, I just feel like I need to read this. Like I haven't read it, but it's one of those books that you just know you're gonna love it. So yeah, The Cruel Prince. I'd love to get to this summer. How many books is that? Is it 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, this is 10 books. If we only count Lolita and the Virgin Suicides as one. It might be ambitious, but in 3 months, I think I can do it. For me, summer lasts all the way until the end of September, so I have 3 months. And I feel like I have a good variety too. I have 2 poetry collections, I have 2 fantasies, and then I have 4 classics / literary fiction, and Mariana Enriquez, which I think is like horror literary fiction, and 1 non-fiction / memoir. Because I'm currently reading 2 non-fictions, 1 memoir and 1 collection of essays, I feel like this balances out eventually. So yeah, that's everything from me. Let me know what books you're excited to read this summer. Do you find that you read more during the summer, or is it just the same as during the rest of the year? And that's everything I wanted to say. If you like this video and you want to see more from me, consider subscribing. I have a lot of video ideas and I want to keep posting. And that's it. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good day. Bye!